If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.
It's true that some things change as we get older. But if you're a woman over 40 and you're dealing with insomnia, brain fog, moodiness, and weight gain, you don't have to accept it as just another part of aging. And with MIDI Health, you can get help and stop pushing through it alone. The experts at MIDI understand that all these symptoms can be connected to the hormonal changes that happen around menopause. And MIDI can help you feel more like yourself again. Many healthcare providers aren't trained to treat or even recognize menopause symptoms. MIDI clinicians are menopause experts. They're dedicated to providing safe, effective, FDA-approved solutions for dozens of hormonal symptoms, not just hot flashes. Most importantly, they're covered by insurance. 91% of MIDI patients get relief from symptoms within just 2 months. You deserve to feel great. Book your virtual visit today at joinmidi.com. That's joinmidi.com.
Life is full of big deals. Starting a family, buying a house, and if it's a big deal for you, it's a big deal to us at Four Leaf Federal Credit Union. Get support from our knowledgeable and friendly team and feel ready to take on the big moments in your life. Learn more at fourleaffcu.com. Four Leaf Federal Credit Union. Let's money together. Federally insured by NCUA Equal Housing Lender.
We're living in a moment when anti-Semitism isn't whispered, it's shouted. And UJA is answering loudly, defiantly, relentlessly. They're fighting hate, meeting growing social needs, building Jewish pride that won't bend or break. This is not the time to stand on the sidelines. Stand with UJA. Learn more at uja.org.
Despite wintry conditions and heavy traffic, the holidays have to go on. That's why Mercedes-Benz SUVs come equipped with the latest safety technology to keep your festive plans on track. Discover the incredible offers for yourself at the Mercedes-Benz Holiday Love Celebration.
Hello, hello.
Hi there.
We're back.
Will that ever not be funny?
I don't know if it's funny to anybody but us. Okay, well, we are here. I'm Selene Castrovilla.
I'm Pascale.
And we are Life and Jest podcast. And this is episode 13.
Yes, if you say so. I have lost count.
It is. But did you ever notice in hotels, they don't even have a 13th floor? They're like,
no, maybe we should have episode 14 instead? Or let's say fuck it.
No, we're doing the 13.
That's right.
We're doing the 13. But it was just, it's interesting. And we have a very solemn episode about, it's going to be fun.
Really?
No, but it's fun. But we are having our Thanksgiving episode. And here we're having wine. See? You have to sip after you do that.
Oh, sorry.
One day we're going to figure out how to do a video, guys, and it's going to be amazing.
Sure.
I did so much research about Thanksgiving, and
I did none.
well, wait till I tell you. It's like unbelievable, some of these things I learned.
Shoot.
And also something about Abraham Lincoln, something else disturbing.
Oh, no.
Because I wrote a whole book about how Lincoln did not want to free the slaves. Now we can add another horrible thing to his resume.
Well, that is not what they teach you in school.
Okay, so we're breaking from our traditional mini segment thing because this whole tale of how we got to Thanksgiving and how Thanksgiving got named a national holiday has a lot of mini things within it. So we're not going to say mini segment. We're just going to go with it. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So the first surprise, which I did let the cat out of the bag. Why is a cat in a bag?
I don't know.
I did tell you this was a big reveal. I shouldn't have told you, but Pilgrims and Puritans were two separate groups.
Ah, and I said, well, Puritan, it's all in the name. Nothing good could come of that.
I guess. Well, they're out there still from the way things are these days.
Oh, sorry, Puritans. I didn't mean that.
No, I don't think they call
Just so you know,
they don't
did.
No, but they don't call themselves that anymore, but they are. I mean,
Oh, I wonder what they're called now.
what are those guys called? What's the really, really religious people? What do they call themselves? I don't think they have a name anymore. They just call themselves Christians, but they're really crazy. So before we get to the Pilgrims and the Puritans, let's examine how they and Protestantism began in England. Okay? Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay. Because it's all from the beginning of Protestantism that this springs. Okay? Now, here's a hint. It all started with Henry VIII's selfishness and greed.
Well, I mean, isn't that what he's known for?
Yes. But, I mean, did you really think it would be connected to him?
No, but are you thinking of that song?
No, what song?
That Henry VIII, I am.
I don't know that song.
Really?
No.
I got married to the widow next door.
He did?
She's been married 7 times before.
I don't think
Oh
he
my
did
God,
that.
I can't believe I'm singing. I sing really bad. Sorry.
I like your voice, but I don't know the song. No. Sorry. Okay. But before that, we have to go back even further.
Okay.
We're going to revisit Martin Luther's act of rebellion from the Catholic Church, which led to the Reformation. Turns out it probably happened much less dramatically than we've been taught. Now, did you learn that Martin Luther King... He's actually in here too. But did you learn that Martin Luther...
Is he?
Well,
that's interesting. Okay, go ahead.
It's not a huge... He's in here, though. But he makes a brief appearance. Did you learn that Martin Luther nailed his 99 Theses to the door of the church? Oh, you didn't? The Wittenberg Castle Church in 1517, okay? They say that he nailed it to the church. He wrote 95 Theses, but the bitchy one...
I was thinking the same thing.
But I don't know. He had a lot. These were all critiques of the Catholic religion. He had a lot of critiques, man.
Well,
I'm surprised nobody killed him.
Well,
right?
I guess.
Well, anyway, it happened on October 31st. So October 31st it's not just Halloween, but it's also Reformation Day.
And it's also Adam Horovitz from the Beastie Boys' birthday. I'm just saying.
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder how he feels about all this. Okay, so Luther believed that the Catholic Church was corrupt and immoral, and that people could only be saved through personal faith in Jesus Christ. Well, I don't know. I mean, I will say I'm not claiming I know anything about any of this, but I mean, aren't you supposed to have faith in Jesus Christ in the Catholic religion?
I think so.
They do like that body of Christ thing,
right?
And the blood of Christ. It's confusing, and
yes, for someone who's not religious, as
I
wasn't brought up with religion either.
I know. Well, my son was in Amsterdam. He was studying abroad. He was supposed to experience something he never did before, so he decided to go to a mass. He didn't know he wasn't supposed to do the communion thing.
I know. I did that too.
And so he went up there, and the guy was handing him the cracker, and the guy said, "Body of Christ," and Michael's like, "What? Ew! I don't want to eat the body of Christ." So that was funny.
Yeah. So just so you know, it's a little odd to us because we weren't brought up that way.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but it seems to me they do have a. But I think what the thing is that Catholicism really has so many rules about how you have to obey. Like they there's all these rules.
Yes.
Right? Very strict. So I think that he didn't like all the rules. He just wanted it to be a more personal relationship. I've been to a couple of Protestant churches. I don't know what denominations they are, and I don't know if they switch around, but they told the stories, but they didn't tell you how to worship. So I guess that's what it is. I really don't know. Um, so his theses challenged the authority of the Catholic Church and sparked the historic split in Christianity known as the Protestant Reformation. But 500 years later, scholars aren't sure that the most dramatic part of the tale is true. Okay, so you know how they say he nailed it?
Yeah.
Now they think he mailed it.
Mailed. I can see how you'd get that confused.
That's so less dramatic. Was he waiting? Like, you wait. Like, did you get the delivery confirmation?
To get a tracking number.
It was really a big deal because the image of Luther nailing his 95 theses to a church door is one of the main historical events people associate with the Reformation. But historians say that he probably didn't do it theatrically. There's no witnesses at all. Okay, none. And Luther himself, who usually loved to be dramatic and brag about things, just said that he remembered drawing up the list around the date in question, but all he was sure of was that he sent it to the local archbishop.
Okay.
So this guy's like totally backtracking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I didn't learn about this Martin Luther until I was at least in my 30s because someone was talking about him. And I got that she wasn't talking about Martin Luther King from the conversation.
Right.
But I was like, who the fuck is she talking about?
Well,
like, I had to look it up.
I don't think that they spend a lot of time on him. I mean, maybe I was going to say maybe in Catholic school, but they probably spend no time on him in Catholic school. But they probably in some other religious schools. I don't know. But
this was a religious person I was talking to.
Well, they definitely learn more. It depends on the religion. I would say Protestants probably they probably learn about him the most. I really don't know. But I definitely had heard about him nailing that thing there.
Oh, I had never heard that.
Yeah. Okay, so in his theses, did it have to be 95? Luther condemned the church's selling of indulgences, which was based on the idea that people could buy forgiveness for their sins. Well, I agree with that. Instead, he argued that humans should only reach salvation through faith and that the Bible, not the clergy, was the foremost religious authority. That does make sense.
Yeah, I get that.
These ideas shaped a new branch of Christianity called Protestantism. I said it right that time.
Nice.
Broadly defined, Protestants make up 37% of the world's 2.18 billion Christians. This is funny, according to the Pew Research Center. It's like sitting in a pew. What is that? Well, is it because they sit in pews?
Maybe.
Or there's something very smelly. True or not, the iconic image of Luther defiantly nailing his theses to the church door continues to reverberate as a symbol of religious freedom. Now, here's where Martin Luther King comes in. Jr., of course. In 1966, by the way, great year. You know,
you were born.
Martin Luther King Jr. echoed its symbolic power by placing a list of his demands on the door of the Chicago City Hall.
Oh, good for him.
Good for him. That. I like it too. You know, those fucks didn't care though.
No, I'm sure they did.
I'm sure they did. And listen to this. It's even become something of a meme. The Simpsons. This is funny. I have to watch The Simpsons. I saw the movie, but I've really never watched the show.
Oh, really?
So
good
clever.
Show. Yeah,
very clever. But so The Simpsons once aired a Halloween episode in which Lisa accidentally creates a functioning society in a petri dish and excitedly observes that one of them is nailing something to the door of the cathedral. Very smart.
Yes, like a lot of those shows, some I don't watch, but like South Park, The Simpsons.
When my kids were little and I heard about South Park, I was enraged.
I know.
I was enraged.
Never forget. My son came home from a sleepover and he goes, I watched a cartoon where the kids cursed. And I was like, what?
I got
Who
so
let
angry.
You watch that?
Yeah.
I was angry too.
Kenny's mother is a bitch or something?
Kyle's mom is.
Kyle. All right.
She's a big fat bitch.
Oh, great. That's nice. Yeah.
I really like the South Park movie soundtrack.
I did like the South Park guys did
the Book of Mormon.
Yeah, but that was not worth the money. My son bought us tickets, and it was kind of disappointing.
Oh, I've never seen.
Well, if you want to pay $500 to watch Starbucks cups dance, go ahead.
No.
It was okay, but really they should tone down those prices. But they did a show called That's My Bush, which I fucking loved.
Oh yeah.
Remember when George Bush got elected?
Yes, I remember you telling me about that.
They should do a new one. That'd be funny. But
that would be really funny.
But they ended it because of the World Trade Center thing. They felt like they couldn't ridicule him anymore. I was writing them letters. Please put it back. Put it back. It was the best.
I think they made a good call, though.
Yeah, but I think George Bush is thoroughly ridiculable.
Oh yeah, I just
H. Bush.
That moment.
Well, they could have continued after a year or something.
Yeah.
That was just, if you could ever see That's My Bush, I highly recommend it. So funny. He stole cable in one episode. And then he accidentally bombed, where's The Hills Are Alive and the Sound of Music? What country is that? Whatever country that is, he actually bombed them. He hit the nuclear button on them.
Yes.
And they were coming back to retaliate, and he thought it was the cops about the cable.
Yes, I hate The Sound of Music. Sorry for you people who love it.
We can have our own opinions.
I just don't.
No, it's fine. Let's see. But, okay. There's something really horrible about, this is something awful about Martin Luther. Not King, Martin Luther, okay? Listen to this.
Uh-oh.
He was brutally anti-Semitic.
Wow.
He wrote a book called On the Jews and Their Lies. And he called the Jews a menace to Germany. Does that sound familiar?
My God.
Yeah, because this happened in Germany in 15-something, right?
What is wrong with people?
Luther advocated burning Jewish synagogues and homes, confiscating Jewish money. Jewish money? I guess money of any owned by Jewish people. Forcing Jewish people into servitude and expelling Jewish people from Germany. So luckily, many of his fellow Protestants rejected these ideas at the time, but in the early 20th century, the Nazi Party would use them to demonstrate that anti-Semitism had a long history in Germany.
That's, wow.
Isn't that awful?
Know that.
No, it's awful.
It is awful.
Ugh, disgusting. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of other terrible things, just so you know.
Great.
Okay, so the Reformation spread quickly through Europe, challenging the Catholic Church's ability to define Christian practice. And it led to the creation of Protestantism, as I've said. Sometimes you have to repeat things. One of the three major branches of Christianity. What's the third? We got Catholic, we got Protestant, and what?
Methodist?
Isn't that part of Protestant?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I think the thing that I was trying to think of before about the people now that are like the Puritans are evangelicals.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
That's what it is, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to be honest. I don't know what evangelical people are.
They're like that.
No idea.
I mean, they want to tell everybody else how to live. You know, everybody has to abide by their rules. You're a sinner if you don't do this or that, you know.
Aren't most of them like that?
No, evangelicals.
Yeah, but aren't most religions like that?
Well, yeah, but they don't they say theirs is the right way and they go into hell, but they don't actively go out there and really want to force themselves on you. I mean, they would like you to join them, but they don't do such brutal tactics.
Oh, okay.
You know.
And does anybody else always think when someone says you're going to hell of Putty on Seinfeld?
Yes, I love that. It's my favorite episode.
You're going to hell.
The Jesus fish. Oh my God, Putty had a Jesus fish. That's my favorite.
Putty was the best.
I do love him. Okay. I do want to know what the third major branch is of Christianity now.
I don't know. I had to guess. That's all I got.
I think Methodist is part of Protestant.
I don't know.
All right. Well, we're going to look that one up. Okay. So all this was going on in Europe, but not in England. Okay. When Martin Luther issued grievances about the Catholic Church in 1517, King Henry VIII took it upon himself to personally repudiate? I should never say words I don't know how to pronounce. The arguments of the Protestant Reformation leader. The Pope rewarded Henry with the lofty title of Fidei Defensor. That sounds like something they would say in Harry Potter when they're doing the ones, right?
It really does.
Expedis. So in English, I guess that's Latin, and it means defender of the faith.
Wow.
And that sounds like a superhero. Like he'd have a little cap, little thing. He did wear a little thing. You know, he had
Yes, he did.
yeah, defender of the faith. But just a decade later, the very same Henry VIII would break decisively with the Catholic Church and accept the role of supreme head of the Church of England and
Wow.
dissolve the nation's monasteries, absorbing and redistributing their massive property as he saw fit.
Well, because it had the name Supreme. I mean,
Well, that makes me think of Dreamgirls. We're gonna dream. But okay, do you know why he did it? You know how I know?
money?
No. Well, I'm sure money was good, but that's not the main reason at all. Because he got a lot of money from them. They gave him money. Okay, there was like a whole thing. They were working together. I actually know this because I'm working with a woman who's writing that book about Anne Boleyn. You know her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I do know the answer to this, but I know it anyway but I did know when I read that. I'm like, I knew that. You know. So take a guess as to why
I have no idea.
he turned against the church because the Pope refused to grant him a divorce from his wife, Catherine of Aragon, so he could marry Anne Boleyn.
Oh, yeah, well, I see that.
But, okay, normally he would have gotten the divorce, but things all went kind of crazy. What happened was he was married to Catherine of Aragon, and she never produced a son. And let me tell you, in the book, there's quite a reason why.
Oh.
But I'm not sure I'm sure there's a lot of magical stuff that happens in the
Aragon is the name of the king in
yeah, something.
That
That book. There's a book called Aragon, isn't there?
Oh my God, why can't
Narnia?
Oh my God, I love these movies.
Narnia?
I love these books.
But
And-
the Ring.
Yes, The Lord of the Rings.
Wait, but isn't there a book called Aragon?
I don't know.
I thought there was. I don't know. I was like Narnia.
I do love those books too.
So he just wanted to ditch her, and he wanted to marry Anne Boleyn. And meanwhile, Anne Boleyn, there's a lot going on with Anne Boleyn. I'm not going to get into all that. His sister was one of his mistresses. Not
Ew.
his sister, her sister.
Oh God. I was like, really?
Yeah, Mary, why you bugging? She's bugging because he's going to marry. And I don't know. I never will understand why someone would agree to just be a mistress. You know, like that doesn't seem. But apparently, he gave her a lot of wealth, and he gave her father money. He had several mistresses that had children. They had the good life, but they didn't have the title or anything.
But who needs the title?
I don't know. I don't know. But there's a lot of stuff going on with Anne Boleyn. But anyway, somehow she wound up pregnant, even though she refused to be his mistress. I think that he'd already pledged himself to marry her. My dog is barking.
Your dog does not like that.
I guess he doesn't. So he wanted to marry Anne, and he asked Pope Clement VII to grant him a divorce from Catherine. He argued that the marriage was against God's will due to the fact that she had briefly been married to Henry's late brother, Arthur. See, what happened was Arthur died of some fever, like some horrible thing. You know, they always had these diseases.
Of course.
And she lied and said that she'd never had sex with him. She said that poor Arthur, she said, because she wanted to be the queen. She didn't want to, so she could only be the queen if she was a virgin. So she said the poor kid was impotent.
No.
That's mean.
Do what you got to do.
Well, apparently that was the wrong thing to do.
Oh, uh-oh.
Well, I mean, I don't know. She never had kids. And under other circumstances, it wouldn't have been too difficult for England's king to get a papal dispensation to set aside his first wife and marry another to produce a male heir. Because everybody knew that was really important. That the number one thing that a ruler did was procreate to keep the line going on. But unfortunately, that same year, 1527, the imperial troops of the Holy Roman Empire attacked and destroyed Rome itself.
Nobody likes that.
Did you know Rome got destroyed like that?
Yeah, didn't Rome burn? Isn't that?
That's right, Rome is burning.
Yeah.
I thought that was just a saying.
No, I think it happened.
Is that when that happened?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
I'm going to say yes. I
that's
might be
pretty
wrong,
vicious.
but I'm going to say yes.
So Pope Clement the Seventh, I'm thinking of Clementines now, was forced to flee the Vatican through a secret tunnel. That sounds like fun.
They always had secret tunnels. Don't you wish we still had secret tunnels?
I want a secret tunnel.
Right?
Yeah. But where would I go?
I don't know.
To the water. And he took shelter in the Castel San Angelo. That's it. I don't know where that was, but I guess they couldn't find him there. So at the time, the title of Holy Roman Emperor belonged to King Charles V of Spain, who happened to be Catherine of Aragon's beloved nephew.
Oh, her beloved nephew, not just a regular nephew.
Always beloved. I guess he was who Clemente was reporting to, and so he wasn't going to do anything to upset Charles V about his aunt. You see? I don't really, but anyway, he couldn't get his divorce. So then he didn't want to completely deny Henry, so he stretched out negotiations with the king's minister, Cardinal Thomas Wolsey, over several years. So all this time he's waiting, and Henry's just getting more and more frustrated. So then finally, the clergyman Thomas Cranmer and the king's influential advisor Thomas Cromwell, both Protestants, built a convincing case that England's king should not be subject to the Pope's jurisdiction. So since King Henry wanted to marry Anne, he appointed Cranmer as Archbishop of Canterbury, and Cranmer quickly granted Henry's divorce from Catherine. So just like that, all he had to do was switch out of the Catholicism, and then he could have a divorce. He appointed the guy to, of course, he appoints the guy to give him the divorce. In June 1533, the heavily pregnant Anne Boleyn was crowned Queen of England in a lavish ceremony. There really was no time to lose.
Oh, well, she was heavily pregnant.
Heavily. So then, Parliament's passage of the Act of Supremacy in 1534 solidified the break from the Catholic Church and made the king the supreme head of the Church of England. With Cranmer and Cromwell in positions of power and a Protestant queen by Henry's side, England began adopting some of the lessons of the Continental Reformation. And they translated the Bible into English. I guess it wasn't before, which is kind of weird, but okay. So the crown also moved to dissolve England's monasteries and take control of the church's vast property holdings. So you see that he was about them. He took all their money, everything. And it's the greatest distribution of property in England since the Norman conquest in 1066. All of the property reverted to the crown, and Henry used the windfall to reward his counselors, both Protestant and conservative, for their loyalty. Even Catholics were extremely tempted by the opportunity to increase their land holdings with this former monastic property. So the Catholics were ready to give it up too.
Well,
so then Anne did not produce the son. She did have a daughter who became Queen Elizabeth eventually. And then by 1536, Henry had fallen for another lady in waiting, Jane Seymour. Not Dr. Quinn, medicine woman. So then that May, after her former ally Cromwell helped engineer her conviction of adultery, incest, and conspiracy against the king. All it wasn't true. It was all just made up they're not sure, but her father might have been on the jury that convicted her. Can you friggin' imagine?
Yes.
It's disgusting.
It happens.
I mean...
it's awful, but it does happen.
Oh my God. I can't. Oh my God. She was executed, and also her brother was executed because he was one of the people. King Henry, to make his case against Anne, turned against a bunch of his friends and said that she had sex with all of them, and one of them happened to be her brother George. But George actually did deserve being executed because he had raped Anne when she was little.
Oh God.
Yeah, so he's the one I think got what he deserved. Still, it's all pretty brutal. Beheading is disgusting.
It's not nice. The understatement of the year.
Okay, so Jane Seymour then gave birth to his first male heir, the future King Edward VI. I have to read these Roman things. And then she died of complications from childbirth 2 weeks later. Well, serves her right because she was also plotting against Anne. She wasn't nice. So for the rest of Henry's life, evangelical and conservative factions wrestled for influence, often with murderous results. But after King Henry's death in 1547, his son's brief reign would be dominated by evangelical Protestant counselors who were able to introduce a much more radical Reformation into England. But he died young in 1553, and then his Catholic half-sister, Queen Mary I, reversed everything during her reign. She brought them back to Catholicism. It's so silly, the whole thing.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
So then, Elizabeth, who was the daughter of Anne Boleyn, and she ruled England for nearly 50 years, brought it back to Protestantism. She completed the Reformation her father had begun. And I put a side note. It's ironic that King Henry was so dead set on continuing the Tudor birth line because Elizabeth purposely never married or had children, and so the house of Tudors ended with her.
Oh.
Then came the Stuarts and then the Windsors, who started with George I, and we Americans fought against George III. But now these days, everybody's all obsessed with those Windsors that we fought to get rid of.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, everybody loves that. Not me, but. Okay, so Elizabeth died at the very beginning of 1600s, and that's when I guess the other king just wasn't. He was sort of trying to figure things out. He was from Scotland. He was more concerned with uniting Scotland and England together. And in the meantime, two groups didn't think the Church of England was pure enough in its separation from Catholicism. One group, called Puritans, felt they could work for reform within the church, and they remained a part of it. The other group were deemed separatists, a derogatory term that they embraced. Much later, they would be known as pilgrims. Those are the ones that, yes. So this group, the separatists, rejected the Protestant Reformation because they believed the Church of England, which had undergone Reformation changes, still retained too many Catholic practices and rituals. And they wanted to establish a church that was completely purified and based solely on the Bible, leading them to separate from the Church of England entirely and to be considered separatists. Now, every British citizen was expected to attend the Church of England. It was a law. Can you imagine?
No.
How do you really feel? And those who didn't were punished by the state. The separatists began to worship in secret, knowing full well that it was treasonous.
Uh-oh.
Nobody likes that.
No.
Once they decided that the only way they could be true to their conscience was to leave the established church and secretly worship, they were hunted and persecuted, and many of them faced the loss of their homes and the loss of their livelihood. This was said by Donna Curtin, executive director of Pilgrim Hall Museum in Plymouth, Massachusetts. When it became impossible for them to continue in this way, they began to seek another place to live. Okay? They didn't first go to Massachusetts.
Where'd they go? What about Plymouth Rock? Was that a lie?
It's the same thing. Plymouth Rock isn't. No, that's not a lie. But that's not the first place they went.
Where'd they go?
Netherlands.
Oh, look at that.
Things could all have been different if they just stayed there. Okay, so here are some key points about the separatist stance. Now remember, these are the people that would become the pilgrims that came eventually and had the whole Thanksgiving deal. The deal?
You know the deal.
While many Puritans sought to reform the Church of England from within, the Pilgrims believed the church was beyond reform and needed to be completely separated from. They wanted to worship according to what they interpreted as the pure teachings of the Bible, rejecting any practices not explicitly mentioned in Scripture. Oh, yeah, we know that. Unlike some other Protestant groups, the Pilgrims, and they weren't Pilgrims yet, but this just to redefine them, the Pilgrims believed in complete separation of church and state, which I like that, which led them to establish their own independent congregation. See, the idea of separation of church and state is a very good one. Then do what you want, but it's separate. It's not about the government.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. So I'm down with them. I'm down. If they only wanted to talk about stuff as it's written in the Bible, that's up to them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just leave everybody else alone. So separatists ended up on the outside of society. Even if they were educated, they ended up with low-paying jobs. Meanwhile, the Puritans stayed wealthy because they were functioning within the church. So they were good. So the separatists first fled to the Netherlands, a wealthy maritime superpower that was far more religiously diverse and tolerant. But while life in Holland was peaceful, it wasn't English, and the separatists feared that their children would be losing their native culture. I mean, seriously?
So
that's so silly. They should have
Whatever.
really, like they had a good thing going there. I don't understand people. Just teach them about their culture if it's so important to you, right?
Oh, yeah.
They decided that the only way to live as true English Christians was very important, was to separate even further and establish their own colony in the New World.
Ah.
See? Here's where it comes. Not all the separatists could make the cross-Atlantic journey. including their spiritual leader, Reverend John Robinson. William Bradford, years later, recounted the tearful farewell at the docks in Delfshaven, where a ship would take the separatists to meet the Mayflower in London. So they had to take a ship for some reason to London. They had to have a British ship for some reason.
On the Mayflower?
Why couldn't they just take whatever ship they had there?
I don't know.
Because they had to have a British ship. British.
Wow.
It has to be all British. I don't understand that at
Guess
all.
That's what they're thinking.
The Netherlands is very cool. That was a good place to raise kids, I think.
I've never been.
It's lovely. We should go. They leave people alone, which is very nice. So they left that goodly and pleasant city, which had been their resting place near 12 years, but they knew they were pilgrims. See? Now that's why they're called pilgrims. And looked not much on those things, but lift up their eyes to the heavens, their dearest country, and quieted their spirits. That was all in that writing of Bradford.
It's true that some things change as we get older. But if you're a woman over 40 and you're dealing with insomnia, brain fog, moodiness, and weight gain, you don't have to accept it as just another part of aging. And with MIDI Health, you can get help and stop pushing through it alone. The experts at MIDI understand that all these symptoms can be connected to the hormonal changes that happen around menopause, and MIDI can help you feel more like yourself again. Many healthcare providers aren't trained to treat or even recognize menopause symptoms. MIDI clinicians are menopause experts. They're dedicated to providing safe, effective, FDA-approved solutions for dozens of hormonal symptoms, not just hot flashes. Most importantly, they're covered by insurance. 91% of MIDI patients get relief from symptoms within just 2 months. You deserve to feel great. Book your virtual visit today at joinmidi.com. That's joinmidi.com.
We're living in a moment when anti-Semitism isn't whispered, it's shouted. And UJA is answering loudly, defiantly, relentlessly. They're fighting hate, meeting growing social needs, building Jewish pride that won't bend or break. This is not the time to stand on the sidelines. Stand with UJA. Learn more at uja.org.
It's never too early for Lowe's Black Friday deals. Snag some of our biggest savings of the season right now, like 25% off select pre-lit artificial Christmas trees. And get yourself free select DeWalt, Cobalt, or Craftsman tools when you buy a select battery or combo kit before the Black Friday rush. Because everyone loves free stuff, right? Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 12/3 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
See, they knew they were pilgrims.
Well, they were.
But they didn't name the community pilgrims, and they didn't even use that term in Bradford's lifetime. The first usage of the capital P Pilgrim appeared in 1800, when a group of citizens in Plymouth proposed the creation of a pilgrim society to organize the annual celebration of the founding of Plymouth Colony. Before 1800, the separatists who landed at Plymouth Rock were known as the first comers or forefathers.
Damn
I like
right.
that better. That's cool.
I like forefathers.
They are the forefathers.
I know, I like that.
But what are our forefathers then?
I don't fucking know.
All right. So they arrived, led by Bradford, the Pilgrims arrived in New England in December. Roughly half of the 102 passengers on the Mayflower died that first winter from starvation, exposure, and disease. They could have just stayed in the Netherlands.
What are you going to do?
With the help of the native Wampanoag people, the Pilgrims learned to fish and farm in their new lands, resulting in the famous feast. Okay, but we're going to get to that feast next, okay? The feast did happen, but it's not like the way they said it, really. I mean, you'll see. And that was in 1621. Now, what did the Pilgrims wear? Remember they always said it's black hats and buckled shoes? No, not so.
Oh, really?
No, they didn't have money.
So what did they wear?
They couldn't even afford black dye. It would have been too expensive for the humble settlers. Only the wealthier Puritans may have worn black hats, and the buckles were out of the question. Pilgrim clothing was likely very colorful, full of blues, greens, and oranges. So absolutely the opposite of what they tell us.
Yeah, really?
Because they look so somber. That's the Puritans. And the Puritans didn't come there yet. They did come, but they weren't there yet.
Okay.
It'd be so much better if they never came.
Well,
we know what we say to them. You just want to be starting something.
You went all Michael on there.
Oh my God. Well, I think it would have been so much better if they never came. Okay. So the Puritans ultimately decided to journey to the New World too, but not for the same reasons as the separatists. The Puritans, who already had some money, saw a favorable investment opportunity by owning land in America. So it was their greed. It was not their religious beliefs, nothing pure about these Puritans.
So they were the first finance douches?
Yes. And somewhat paradoxically, the Puritans also believed that by being far away from England, they could create the ideal English church. So they wanted to do that too, but their primary thing was money. So when the Puritans settled the Massachusetts Bay Colony in 1630, so that's after the Thanksgiving was 1621, they arrived in 17 ships. That was a lot, right? This reminds me of when the British came against us. It was like, forget it. They arrived in 17 ships carrying more than 1,000 passengers. They came with money and resources and divinely ordained arrogance.
Wow.
Just 10 years later, the Massachusetts Bay Colony was a Puritan stronghold of 20,000, while humble Plymouth was home to just 2,600 pilgrims.
Oh, boy.
Plymouth was fully swallowed up by Mass Bay just a few decades later, so they completely took them over. Because the Pilgrims and the Puritans share a similar backstory, their legacies often got blurred in the minds of later generations of Americans, and not always accidentally. Daniel Webster used the Pilgrims as nostalgic symbols of manifest destiny, which was more of a Puritan thing. Manifest destiny means like they have been told by God that they are the chosen ones. It's their manifest destiny. 2,000 miles westward from the rock where their fathers landed may now be found the sons of pilgrims, cherishing the blessings of wise institutions of liberty and religion. But it wasn't them at all. It was the Puritans. So now let me tell you exactly what led up to the harvest feast we call the first Thanksgiving. By the way, they didn't call it Thanksgiving. They called it a harvest feast.
So when did it get called Thanksgiving?
Lincoln.
Ah, it goes back to Lincoln.
Yeah. So the Plymouth colonists settled in the part of eastern Massachusetts formerly occupied by the Patuxet. Patuxet. Now, this is horrible. They died, except for one, in a devastating epidemic between 1614 and 1620. The reason why they died was because prior Europeans had arrived and brought with them all their illnesses.
Yeah.
The Native Americans had never had any problem with illness until the Europeans came. And not only that, but they also enslaved them and took them with them back. So the guy that didn't die had been captured and enslaved and taken away, and that's why he didn't die.
Wow.
And when he came back, all he saw was bones, because they died so quickly. A lot of them didn't get buried.
Oh, that's
so that
sad.
that was Plymouth Rock. That's where the Plymouth people landed. So the guy, did you ever hear of Squanto?
Yes.
Okay, now Squanto is not his real name. It's the Pilgrims that are not Pilgrims, whatever they were, called him Squanto. I guess they couldn't say his name. His name is Tisquantum. That's kind of cool. Tisquantum. So like quantum with a Tisquantum. That's not so hard.
No,
They
but
called
you
him
know,
Squanto.
listen, I've been called Patty by people, so
I
I
know.
so understand
Pasquale.
what's going on. Pasquale.
Pasquale.
Patty. Patty, are you fucking serious?
Oh, I know. I get called, what do I get called? Everything but my name.
My phone calls you Selena.
Yeah. But your phone's even against me. Nice. Okay. So Squanto, all right, I want to try to call him by his real name, Tisquantum. He had been enslaved. He had been around the world twice as an enslaved person, and then he'd also traveled otherwise. He came back and he saw everybody was dead, and then the Pilgrims came. He decided he wanted to help them. He wanted to teach them, and it was really because Massasoit, he's the leader of the Wampanoag. His name is Massasoit. So Massasoit.
Yeah, I think so.
He wanted to enslave Tisquantum. I mean,
Why should everybody look at
I know. So he decided, well, I'm going to make myself helpful to these other guys so I don't have to live in servitude. So, and there was another native intermediary named Samoset. Have you heard of him?
No.
And now he had gotten some experience in trade relations with previous Europeans, but he hadn't been enslaved as Tisquantum had been. So Tisquantum, like I said, he had been enslaved 6 years before the Mayflower arrived. A slave trader captured Tisquantum and a group of Native Americans. With help from the Catholic Church, Tisquantum escaped. So the Catholic Church helped him and he found his way to England, where he learned English. And he eventually returned to North America in 1619, just in time to come home and see piles of bones of his fellow tribesmen killed by the plagues. And he realized he was the sole survivor of his village. So he was the last member of that tribe. So then he went to the Wampanoags, because he couldn't just live alone, where that guy wanted to enslave him. Now, the Wampanoags had lost up to 75% of their people to the same plagues. But a nearby enemy tribe, the Narragansett, which we know that name, Narragansett.
Oh, yeah.
It's a place, right?
Narragansett is the place.
Okay, but there is, you know what there is? There's the Narragansett Inn, where people used to get married.
Oh, really?
Oh, that commercial. Welcome to the Narragansett Inn, when they have the big chandelier.
I've never seen that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that enemy tribe didn't lose anybody apparently, so that's amazing. But bad for the Wampanoag. So the Wampanoag leader saw the Pilgrims as possible allies against the Narragansett. So that's really why he wanted to, kiss up to them. So Tisquantum was able to talk to them because he could speak English, and the other guy, Massasoit, could not. But Massasoit did not actually trust his fellow tribal member, and he held him as a prisoner, but he had to let him out to go talk to them. So he's just like a jerk, that guy too. Why just leave him alone? Everybody's so mean to poor Tisquantum.
I know, he does get screwed a lot.
He's got a cool name. That could be where quantum comes from, like quantum leap, quantum physics, and all that could be from him. Poor guy. So he established himself as a key resource to the Pilgrims, teaching them how to survive, because he didn't want to continue a life of servitude. So his travels had acquainted him with more of the world than any Pilgrim encountered. He had crossed the Atlantic perhaps 6 times, twice as an English captive, and had lived in Maine, Newfoundland, Spain, and England, as well as Massachusetts.
Well, that's kind of good.
Yeah. So the Wampanoag signed a treaty together with the Pilgrims, who weren't Pilgrims yet, but they were Pilgrims, but they weren't called Pilgrims, for alliance, that they would protect each other from the Narragansetts. Tisquantum taught the Pilgrims how to catch eel and grow corn, and he served as an interpreter for them until he too succumbed to the disease a year later. So
good Lord.
It's so sad. Poor guy. So then the Wampanoag leader also gave food to the colonists when supplies brought from England proved insufficient. Okay? So here's where Thanksgiving actually happened. Okay? First of all, it did not happen in November. I mean, it could have. They said the event occurred sometime between September 21st and November 11th, 1621. But the most likely time was Michaelmas, which was September 29th. It was a traditional time when they would have that kind of thing. So it probably happened on September 29th. So they celebrated the good harvest. So all that's true. Okay.
Okay.
And it was for 3 days. They didn't call it a day of Thanksgiving, but a harvest celebration. So the Pilgrim feast was cooked by 4 adult Pilgrim women who survived their first winter in the New World: Eleanor Billington, Elizabeth Hopkins, Mary Brewster, and Susanna White, along with young daughters and male and female servants. All right. They had servants?
Of course they did.
I don't even understand. According to accounts by Wampanoag descendants, the harvest feast was originally set up for Pilgrims alone. It wasn't like they all gathered together. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, hey, but it wasn't bad either. What happened was, in part of the celebration, they were having a demonstration of arms by the colonists, which means they shot guns in the air like idiots do, and it's just lucky nobody got killed. But the Wampanoag, who had entered into the mutual protection agreement, thought that they were being attacked by the enemy. So they
Lord.
came all prepared to defend the pilgrims. So when they got there, the Wampanoag were welcome to join the celebration. They're like, hey, dudes, it's chill, but come on,
As long
hey,
as you're here,
come on.
have some eel.
Let's hang out, man. So they were welcome to join. And then they somehow came back with food, their own food for the meal. It was a 3-day celebration, so they brought their own food too. So that's actually really nice. I mean, it would have been nicer if they invited them to begin with, but it is true that they had an alliance, and it is true that they defended each other. So it's not when they talk about Thanksgiving, it's like the generic. They don't even say Native Americans, the Indians. The Native. It wasn't all the Native Americans. It was that specific tribe that had united with the separatists that were pilgrims with a small p and would eventually be with a big P, because it really wasn't friendship, it was necessity. But you can understand. I understand that. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with the generalization of the whole thing.
Yeah.
They act like it's so simple. That's it. We were all buddies, right? But I was pleased to know that at least they did actually have something of a time together, Now, however, Thanksgiving Day is a time of grief for Native Americans. Nobody tells this actual story. What happened was everything was really good until those Puritans came. And the Puritans wanted to push their ideas on everybody. They were the ones that caused all the trouble, and they were the ones that tried to force the Native Americans to their religion. Like the Pilgrims never did that. They were like, you do you and we'll do us, right? It was very chill. These other guys came and took over everything, and they were the ones that started taking the Indian land. They were the ones that were appropriating things. If they hadn't come, I don't know how long it would have lasted. Who knows? Someone might have got greedy in the end, but they were existing. They were coexisting.
I know, but there's always someone who comes up and
But don't you think it sucks that it had to end so soon? Because of so the Native Americans think of Thanksgiving as really the beginning of the end. Many natives continue to gather at Coles Hill near Plymouth Rock and remember the losses experienced for the past 400 plus years through the National Day of Mourning. The event began in 1970 when the Commonwealth of Massachusetts invited Wamsutta Frank, it's in parentheses, James, to address the public on behalf of the Wampanoag people. However, once organizers learned the subjects of his speech, which included highlighting the death and broken promises at the hands of settlers, colonial powers, and the United States, James was no longer invited. This prompted the formation of the National Day of Mourning. James wrote, "This action by the Wampanoag leader, Massasoit, was perhaps our biggest mistake. We, the Wampanoag, welcomed you, the white man, with open arms, little knowing that it was the beginning of the end." Which is so sad. But it really could have worked out differently. I don't think the mistake was working with them. I think they also needed them because they had to defend themselves against the Naras. I don't think it's that simple to think it, but I certainly can understand why they feel that way. The Puritans generally viewed Native Americans with more suspicion and sought to convert them to Christianity, often leading to greater conflict and tension within indigenous populations. They just changed everything. The Puritans were more aggressive in their attempts to convert Native Americans to Christianity, often forcing them to adopt Puritan practices and culture, which led to resistance and mistrust. And the Puritans believed they had a God-given right to the land, viewing Native Americans as obstacles to their settlement, while the Pilgrims initially tried to coexist with the indigenous people. So really, it's all the Puritans' fault. They stole their land. So now I want to also remember that these poor Native Americans were wiped out by all those diseases to begin with when the other Europeans came. So we've just been horrible. We just did terrible. I mean, I would say, I don't think they meant it, but they did do that. They brought the diseases. It's horrible, Okay, so let's talk about Lincoln. Okay, Abraham Lincoln, I think the reason everybody adores him is because he was assassinated. People just love it's like Kennedy, right? Kennedy was extremely flawed as well, right? But when you're assassinated, it's like
It's like anybody else. It's not just presidents. It's, you know,
people don't want to say bad things about people
or people who died young. I mean, look at all those musicians that died.
27
The
Club?
27 Club. I mean, would really be as...
Well, I think with them, I think it's also the idea of what could they have accomplished more.
Right, but who knows what?
Well, we don't know, but they were.
Right,
I mean,
but
it's a little different than Lincoln. Like, see, with
But
Lincoln,
what I'm saying
yeah.
is when people
died,
die,
you don't want to say bad things about them.
right.
But yes, but it's like they've changed. They just decided to ignore really obvious things.
Yes.
Like my book, Seeking Freedom. When I found out, I always thought that Lincoln wanted to free the enslaved people. Imagine my surprise when I found out he did not. He said it in his first inaugural address. He said, I have no desire or inclination to end the practice of slavery where it exists. He said that.
Which is the opposite of what we've been told.
It's not a secret. It's not a secret.
I know, but they don't teach you that in school.
And the only reason, well, the reason, I'm not saying it would never have ended, but the beginning of the end of slavery happened at Fortress Monroe. It was because of the contraband decision by a man named Butler, and an enslaved man named George Scott defended the fort against the Confederates and saved the day. And it's because of these people that no one ever hears of. So, I mean, when I read, I couldn't even friggin' believe it. They called him the Great Emancipator. The only reason he did the Emancipation Proclamation because he was shamed into it. The contrabands were all these formerly enslaved people. They were called contraband of war in this decision, so they could get shelter, and everybody laughed at it. But the contrabands didn't laugh at it. They were like, "Hey, you're going to give us shelter," and they all came there. And newspaper reporters came from around the North and interviewed them. And they, for some reason, they believed that enslaved people didn't want to be free. Now, who the hell would not want to be free?
Wow.
Right? So when they started reporting and they were like, oh, they all want to be free. Even the 80-year-olds, like, really? Yeah, of course they want to be free. So this shamed Lincoln into doing something. So it's unbelievable. So here's another great thing about Lincoln. Yeah. God. I mean, I can't even believe it. Okay. Lincoln signed laws that gave away millions of acres of tribal land to support white westward expansion, and he approved the hanging of 38 Dakota Sioux warriors, the largest mass execution in U.S. history. Okay?
Are you really surprised?
I didn't know that. Yeah. Well, I'm not surprised, but I'm horrified. Like, they should teach us that. I mean, maybe they do somewhere, but I never learned that.
I didn't either.
Yeah. During his time, he was also a racist, by the way. By the way, when the war ended, he was afraid that the black people were going to rise up against us. He was afraid they were going to be attacked, and he wanted to send them all to Haiti.
Oh, Haiti. Just so you guys know, that's where I'm from.
Yeah. But he died before that could be done.
Why do they always pick on Haiti? Jesus.
I don't know, but I mean, isn't that ridiculous?
Yes.
He was a racist.
Listen.
I don't know. It's just
so many races.
Yes, but Lincoln, it's different.
I know.
So during his time in the White House, Lincoln displayed the common paternalistic attitude that tribal peoples required white men's civilizing influence. So he had to teach them. He had to tame them. Can you imagine? What's wrong with him?
What's wrong with...
I'm disgusted.
Most of the people.
The president, and this is a quote from his biographer, David Herbert Donald, rather enjoyed playing the role of their great father, like they need him, right? Sometimes addressing them in pidgin English, as in one encounter with the Potawatomi Indians. Is that right?
I think so.
In which he asked them, listen to this, where live now? When go back Iowa?
Wow, what a day.
Even though they spoke fluent English.
Yeah.
He was like on F Troop. Oh my God. In March 1863, when hosting Plains Indian dignitaries at the White House, Lincoln told them, I can see no way in which your race is to become as numerous and prosperous as the white race, except by living as they do, by cultivation of the earth. Like they need to be taught that? They were the ones that taught us. What a dick. He also argued, yes, I called Lincoln a dick.
So did I.
He also argued, without a trace of irony, that despite being engaged in a bloody civil war, white men were, quote, not as so disposed to fight and kill one another as our red brethren. Oh, really?
Unfortunately, I mean, not to be, um, I'm sorry if I'm insulting some of you people, but the white man has a terrible history.
Yeah, okay, I did know that, but I didn't realize. The more I hear about Lincoln, something about that because we're supposed
right.
to respect him so much. He's supposed to
Yes.
be, one like him in Washington were like supposedly the two greatest presidents. Now,
Yes.
I have other I do love Washington. I don't think we'd be a country without him. I do recognize very flawed, very flawed. But on the other hand, he wasn't so completely disgraceful as Lincoln. I'm sorry. But and also this was later, so things should have been learned, you know. So here's another quote set from his biographer in the Journal of Abraham Lincoln Association. Lincoln's acceptance of U.S. Indian policy indicated he conformed to the general social attitudes toward Native Americans in his time. That's sort of an excuse. He continued to view them as a foreign people that would need to be removed through purchase or conquest. It's disgusting.
Sorry, who's the foreign people here?
I know. So, presiding at it during a time when many white settlers were pushing west in search of farmable land and mineral wealth, Lincoln shared the prevailing U.S. government stance that tribal peoples posed obstacles to that expansion. In 1862 alone, he signed into law the Homestead Act and the Pacific Railroad Act, which shifted millions of acres of tribal land to settlers and railroad companies, respectively. He just took their land, just took it. In 1864, the U.S. military forced an estimated 10,000 Navajo people on a march from their homelands to a desolate internment camp more than 300 miles away. The same year, a volunteer Colorado regiment brutally massacred more than 200 mostly unarmed Arapaho and Cheyenne men, women, and children at Sand Creek, Colorado. And 1 week before the Emancipation Proclamation went into effect on January 1st, 1863, Lincoln authorized the hanging of 38 Dakota Sioux men in the largest public execution in U.S. history. The men were killed on December 26, 1862. These men were part of the Dakota Uprising. And what is that? The Dakota Uprising was born of hunger and desperation. What a shock. 10 years before the Civil War, the Dakota Sioux people had relinquished vast portions of their Minnesota territory. Oh, so much for Minnesota, nice. And had been forced onto reservations in exchange for annual compensation in the form of gold and trade goods. But those promised government annuities often never arrived, as Indian agents intercepted the payments to cover alleged debts, and the Dakota was starving. In 1858, the year Minnesota became a state, the Sioux chief Little Crow led a delegation to Washington to seek justice, but the U.S. instead reduced the reservation by half and opened it up to white settlers. Oh my God.
Yeah.
In 1861, Dakota farmers experienced crop failure, exasperating their hunger. Anti-Indian sentiments at the time were exemplified by local trader Andrew Jackson. That guy is a real who refused the Dakota credit, allegedly responding to their starvation by saying, "So far as I am concerned, if they are hungry, let them eat grass."
Wow, that's
I don't
nice.
think it's this. Is it the same Andrew Jackson? I'm not sure.
I hope not.
But Andrew Jackson was also a jerk, whether it was or out of that. But let him eat grass. That's worse than letting him eat cake.
Yeah.
Ugh. In August of 1862, 4 young Dakota men stealing eggs impulsively killed 5 white settlers near Acton Township. After the skirmish escalated to the murder of several hundred settlers, a volunteer militia under Henry H. Sibley responded to the conflict, and a Dakota Peace Party of native noncombatants initiated a peace process. But 6 weeks later, when the war ended, between 300 and 600 white settlers had been killed, along with more than 70 soldiers, as well as some 75 to 100 Dakota soldiers. And the I don't think. So the guy was named. It's not the same Andrew. His name was Andrew Jackson Myrick. This guy. So Myrick was found dead with his mouth filled with grass.
Well, that's
love
what he
that.
gets.
I do love that. A military commission tried 392 Dakotas in 6 weeks for murder and other crimes. They sentenced 303 to hang for having fired in battles or bought ammunition or acted as a commissary in supplying provisions to the combatants or had committed some separate murder. On the last day alone, the commission decided nearly 40 cases. Overall, historians say the manner in which the trials were conducted was less than just. What a shock. The evidence was sparse. The tribunal was biased. The defendants were underrepresented in unfamiliar proceedings conducted in a foreign language, and the authority for convening the tribunal was lacking. This was said by Carol Chomsky, associate professor of the University of Minnesota Law School. By law, Lincoln was responsible for approving the sentences. He faced a populace in Minnesota braying for blood revenge, so they wanted them dead. They wanted blood. At first, Lincoln decided to only sentence to death those guilty of rape. Remember, though, they don't really know if this was all unfair, so we don't know if they actually did anything. And dedicated himself to reviewing each case individually. He ultimately decided to also uphold the sentences of those guilty of massacre rather than battlefield killings. So he granted a reprieve to more than 260 of the condemned men and signed off executions for 39. One more was given a last-minute reprieve. Known to this day as the Dakota 38, the condemned sang their death songs as they went to the gallows on December 26th, held hands on the platform, and were executed before thousands of spectators. They are remembered by their descendants among the Dakota, 3,000 of whom were expelled after the war from Minnesota under the threat of death.
Good Lord.
So after authorizing the largest mass execution in the United States, Lincoln decided to proclaim Thanksgiving Day as a national holiday to be observed, quote, in every part of the United States, and also those who are at sea and those who are sojourning in foreign lands, to set apart and observe the last Thursday of November as a day of thanksgiving and prayer.
Bean does not care for that.
To our beneficent Father, again with the God stuff, who dwelleth in the heavens. While he believed the day could act as a day of healing and togetherness for the battered nation, he also felt it was an excellent way to mend fences with the Native Americans. Yeah, just name this thing. That'll be cool.
Oh my God.
I would say wrong on both counts, Mr. President. And that ends our discussion of Thanksgiving, which I think has been very enlightening. What do you think?
Yeah. Wow. They really don't teach you very much in school, do they?
Ironically, they are right about the actual getting together, but it's all
but
confused.
There's so much more.
There's so much more, and that's what makes it relatable. It's just this is like nothing. You dress up. I mean, the kids get put in these little costumes. It doesn't even matter. We need to teach the whole truth. We need to.
Yeah, but we won't.
All right. Do you have a quote?
Can I use our church quote?
Okay.
It's my favorite thing ever.
Well, why don't you say? We'll save that one for last. Okay. So I have a quote from Sun Bear of the Chippewa tribe. I do not think the measure of a civilization is how tall its buildings of concrete are, but rather how well its people have learned to relate to their environment and fellow man.
Nice.
And then I have another quote from Chief Satanta of the Kiowas. I have heard you intend to settle us on a reservation near the mountains. I don't want to settle. I love to roam over the prairies. There I feel free and happy, but when we settle down, we grow pale and die.
Nice.
And then the Dakota tribe said, we will be known forever by the tracks we leave.
I like that one.
Yes.
Okay. I have 3.
Go ahead.
And of course, they are, as usual, ridiculous.
All right.
So Kevin James, who I don't really like, but I like this quote.
It could be okay.
Said, Thanksgiving, man, not a good day to be my pants.
That took me a minute, but I like that.
And then I don't remember who said this one, but Thanksgiving, bringing out the best in family dysfunction since 1863.
Absolutely.
And my last one, which we have both seen years ago on a church that we pass all the time. Thanksgiving is Thanks-living.
Yes, amen.
Amen.
All right. So on that note, enjoy your family dysfunction. Have fun. I'm going to go do my delivering because I've about had it with Thanksgiving. But I will say, cheers to you and your families. It really, you can still celebrate with your families, but take a moment and think about the people that have all been so hurt by things that happen in this country.
Yes.
Maybe instead of just saying a prayer at the table, maybe say, some words about them in their memory.
Yes.
All right. Cheers. All right. Au revoir.
Good day.
At Garden City Mazda, discover more about what moves you.
During the Mazda More to Move You event, drive out with satisfaction.
Our inventory of new and Mazda certified pre-owned vehicles is unmatched in New York.
Elevate your everyday drive. Go in style through every turn. Transcend the ordinary. Discover the new Mazda lineup and experience the exceptional.
Garden City Mazda. Exhilaration at every turn, exceptional in every way.
It's true that some things change as we get older. But if you're a woman over 40 and you're dealing with insomnia, brain fog, moodiness, and weight gain, you don't have to accept it as just another part of aging. And with MIDI Health, you can get help and stop pushing through it alone. The experts at MIDI understand that all these symptoms can be connected to the hormonal changes that happen around menopause. And MIDI can help you feel more like yourself again. Many healthcare providers aren't trained to treat or even recognize menopause symptoms. MIDI clinicians are menopause experts. They're dedicated to providing safe, effective, FDA-approved solutions for dozens of hormonal symptoms, not just hot flashes. Most importantly, they're covered by insurance. 91% of MIDI patients get relief from symptoms within just 2 months. You deserve to feel great. Book your virtual visit today at joinmidi.com. That's joinmidi.com.
We're living in a moment when anti-Semitism isn't whispered, it's shouted. And UJA is answering loudly, defiantly, relentlessly. They're fighting hate, meeting growing social needs, building Jewish pride that won't bend or break. This is not the time to stand on the sidelines. Stand with UJA. Learn more at uja.org.
At Garden City Mazda, discover more about what moves you.
During the Mazda More to Move You event, drive out with satisfaction.
Our inventory of new and Mazda certified pre-owned vehicles is unmatched in New York.
Elevate your everyday drive. Go in style through every turn. Transcend the ordinary. Discover the new Mazda lineup and experience the exceptional.
Garden City Mazda. Exhilaration at every turn, exceptional in every way.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.